Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. You made it through another week. I hope everybody's having a great week so far. It was a fast one this week, especially for me. We have a couple things to talk about today. First of all, it's starting to cool down here in the Northeast, and I'm sure by you, a lot of you, it's already been cool. You know, they're expecting 3 to 4 feet of snow at Buffalo, New York, in this couple days coming up. So that's always exciting, right? But I know a lot of you guys have garage shops or shed shops, and it's really difficult at this time because it's so cold, and there's nothing worse than trying to work in a cold environment. And I know, I feel for you. You know, it's one of my priorities, you know, and I'm sure with you too, is if our dream shop is always a big climate controlled shop. That's all we want. Just a nice size and climate controlled. And I know we're all wrestling with the idea of how to warm up our shops. I told you what I did. I took the, well, I did, my grandfather did, took the insulation off of the steam pipes, the returning pipes to the boiler. So, you know, the pipes are hot down here, so it's warm, you know, pretty warm. Unless it gets like 12, 15 degrees, then it's cold, you know, down here. But it's nice. It's nice to have a warm shop. So I know you guys, you know, that you can't get out. You appreciate seeing a little shop time. So today I want to do a couple projects, simple projects that get back to basics. I picked up a couple screwdrivers, actually overpaid for them because I knew they would make good projects that you might enjoy seeing. So let's get right to that now. Okay, first up, you know, I haven't done a screwdriver in a while, and I've picked these two up. I paid $1 a piece for these because, and the other reason I would pay that kind of money for a screwdriver is because they have to be special. This one here is a 357 Magdad Special. This is something that he just, you know, excels in. He does fantastic work on screwdrivers. And this one's in good shape, but you know, as you know, I love the square shank screwdriver. It is so much stronger and more durable than a rounded shank screwdriver. Although this is one of my favorites. This was given to me by the tool addict, Ben, and we did this a while. I use this all the time. It's a nice size, and believe it or not, this handle, it's just nice the way it turns. So I enjoy that. But these two, and these Stanley, so I can't tell you. So obviously when the handle gets like this, there's really nothing you could do to get it back. You know, this is almost beyond restoration, especially when it's got like Bondo and stuff on there. There's no way you're getting that stuff off of there, no matter what you do. However, we can make them into user screwdrivers, and this one we could probably make pretty nice. But this one we can make into a user, which is always fun, you know, to clean them up, just to have some. So what do you say we start with these? Sooner or later, you're going to have to change your wire brush off of your bench grinder, whatever, because they are a consumable item. And what happens is, this is what they will look like when they get worn down. This is way past, but it still works. But I mean, it's just now you're getting to the point where, you know, the wires will start shooting out or whatever. But now a lot of people ask me what type of brush I use. Now, I've had very good luck with the Harbor Freight brand of brushes. A lot of times they call them Warrior, or they'll have some kind of. Now, the one I suggest if you're new to the hobby and you want to try, they sell like three. This is a fine wire brush right here, and you could tell it's fine because you could see how easily it's. First of all, it's kind of thin. You could see how easily these bristles move, and that's good for certain items. Then you have the red one, which we're all familiar with here. This one's very common, the 5-inch wire wheel here. And this one here is very, it's thick and it's aggressive. It's good for certain things, but it doesn't flex around a lot of items. So what I do is I use a twin shaft motor, and I put a medium, which is this one, on one side, and the stiff on the other. This is 5-inch. This is the 6-inch wheel. This is the one I like to use, and it also is in between this and this. It's a gold, looks like a brass brush, but it's just brass plated. They are steel wire, and this is the one I really like. So if you ever get a chance to pick one of these up, give it a try. I think you'll like it. That's the one I use. Okay, here we go after the wire brush, and you can see what a difference that makes, right? But there's a few things that you have to deal with. Now, the wire brush will not get rid of the pitting, will not, and it'll also leave on the ferrule here, it'll always leave kind of a rough finish. But again, I'm doing this because I want to make these user screwdrivers, so I'm not going over the top. The next step is our lovely single edge razor blade, which will, you'll see here, we'll get all the residual paint off here before we hit it with the sander. So we'll scrape off some paint, but also, now I hit this with the wire brush to get some of the paint off. Like, see, this paint is always a pain to get off. Unless you want it to stay there on purpose, then it seems to come off easy. But we'll pick out some of the paint here with the corner of the wire brush that we didn't get. And then also, you see here on the edges, watch this. Just like we scrape wood, you can scrape the plastic and get rid of a lot of those. Remember what this was. This is trash, this screwdriver. But look what I'm doing with just a sharp razor blade. And look at that. You see that? And then when we hit that with the sander, it'll become translucent again. So you can get rid of a lot of, you know, a lot of problems that you have with your screwdriver, just like doing it that way. We'll make this presentable and usable. And same with this. So let's work on the razor blade. Okay, now what we've done here is we've just used a razor blade. Everything here that you see is just done with the razor blade. So, you know, it's always, when you hear people say, well, if I had the equipment, I would do better. But really, sometimes you want to come down here and just relax with simple hand tools. It's so relaxing to do that. Now, to get inside here, you see that curve? There's these little ribs here, and the paint is always a pain to get out of there. And you don't want to be trying to scrape it with the corner of this is a no-no. You'll make grooves in there. So you want to have a curved tool. Now, if you don't have a tool, you can always make a tool. And what I'm going to use is a typical nail, or just a regular nail. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, remember I was always telling you about the edge, why I'm always softening the edge? Well, here's the opposite. I'm going to put this on top of the belt sander for 2 seconds and make this a flat, sharp edge. And I'll show you how good that works as a tool. Okay, so you see 2 seconds on the belt sander. We did the edge here, and then we did the top. So that makes a 90-degree corner. That corner is it will be sharp. It don't feel sharp like to cut you, but it is sharp. And what we'll do is then we'll take it here. Okay, now you could pull or push. I'm going to show you here. You just gently rub here, and you can see the paint will come off from here until you get that sweet spot in the nail. There you go. See how we're pulling this down, and we're going to get all that paint out of there. And there we go. That's one. That's almost. And then just lightly go back and forth here. Again, we're going to hit it with the sandpaper later. But you see, that'll get out the paint that's in there using this just as a scraper to get out that paint. Here's some more. You see how that scrapes in there? And there we go. That's just an easy way. And then afterwards, after you get the initial paint out of there, you could wrap some sandpaper around a stick. That's what 357 does to get in here. And then clean it out like that. But this is a good way to get the paint out. You don't want to go after this with the sandpaper. It'll just clog your sandpaper. You really want to scrape this out first. So there we go. Okay, everything you see here was done with just a scraper and a little elbow grease here. You can see we got all out of there, out of the grooves. Now we're just going to start with the sandpaper. Again, we're going to have to readdress the tips. You see the tip on this one is kind of really a little bit. But these things are bulletproof, you know. I mean, people use these for all kinds of pry jobs. This tip is actually very good. So we just clean this one up. But we got to reprofile this tip. And now we'll go to the sanding. Now, years of rust have left this surface pitted. As you can see, it's pitted all the way through. And here it is after one pass with the belt sand, the coarse belt. But you remember that leaves that sharp edge we're going to have to address later. But that's the coarse belt to get all the pits out. Okay, next up real quick, I was at the Dollar General, which is an inexpensive store, by a dollar store basically, in my area, and I saw these Scotch-Brite type pads. This one here is a Brillo, and this one here, surprisingly, made in the United States of America. So I picked this up. This comes in 3 pads, For the same price here, they have the Scrub Buddies, but this one here, you can see on the bottom line there, made in China. So, but this one comes with 4 pads, and this one feels a little bit stiffer. I wanted to see what the difference is. And again, you can't compare apples to oranges more or less because they come in different grits. So you don't know if you're comparing. It's not like it's written there. Now, a typical Scotch-Brite, if you buy the American or, you know, here, this is a 3M Scotch-Brite. You can see these ultra-fine pads, and they come in a box. They're quite expensive, but this here, and it has a nice abrasive to it. But again, you pay for it. I just want to see if we could use something like this in the shop. So what I wanted to do is I'm going to cut off a piece, and we'll see how they compare. Now, whenever you're going to use Scotch-Brite, it's a good idea not to waste a whole lot because you don't need a whole lot. So here we're just going to take about a 1-inch section, cut it up, and I use a pair of snip. This really, they cut so easy, and we're just going to cut off a piece, like I said, of each. And this one, you can tell right away, this one here is actually harder to cut. And what we're going to do is I'm going to scrub this side here with the Brillo, this side here with the Scrub Buddies, and just to see what kind of texture difference we get. Okay, we finished our little quick abrasion test. You can see here, this is what it picked up from here. This is the Brillo, the USA made. I did it on this side. I scrubbed twice as long as I did with this side. You can see I couldn't get the letters off, and that's the finish it left, but it wouldn't remove the lettering or whatever that is. Here, with the imported, and I hate to say this, but again, it's a different pad where maybe this is more for cleaning without scratching. This might be more of a real an abrasive or sanding pad, but you can see the difference it left on here, and you can see this took off very easily, took the numbers off. This is a really aggressive, more aggressive than this one. And I have to tell you, if you are at the dollar store and you're looking for something to clean up, I would say give these a try because, like I said, it does a quicker job of cleaning and rust removal, things like that. But maybe if you want to do your pots and pans, you might want to go with this one. But interesting. And again, same price, and they offer you 1 extra pad. Seems to go further. This one here already squished, you know, this one's already feeling a little bit like it won't work, and this one here still has a lot of bite to it. Interesting. Okay, you can see with the furnace going this way, left it to dry overnight, so it's all dried and ready to go. And you know my favorite part, remember what these 2 trash screwdrivers look like before we started? And we're calling this project done. Just what I needed today. I just needed to clear my head. A couple hours in the shop will do that. Let me show you what we did. Let's take them one at a time. First, let's go with this one here. This one, you saw this one was really beat up, you know. But I was able to get it back, cleared it with the clear coat. Got the, put a little black in here. Got the square shank. Just beautiful, huh? This is a Stanley 100 and a vintage one, USA. These were just unbelievable. Anybody that's used one knows that one of the best screwdrivers you can have. Again, we couldn't make it perfect, but it's definitely presentable, something you wouldn't mind having in your toolbox, but feels so good in the hand. I will love using this. Did the tip up nice, right? That's a nice one. And then we have this vintage model here, and again we did it with a, now this is a brush on paint, you know, we weren't looking for a but it is an acceptable finish. Again, we got the ferrule real nice, right, on there, clean. The blade, look at that, nice, and the tip, you know, and just again, notice the 2 differences here. And one is, if you notice, the blade is flat here and it has the flat shank, whereas this one, the Stanley, the blade is flat, but you got the triangle on this side, the edge, you know, it's not flat all the way through. So that's unusual, but both, if you never use square shank screwdrivers, please, you will love them. They are, without a doubt, the best type of screwdrivers. Everybody that knows that uses them, you'll never go back to round shank. But these are in a can. That was a fun project, right? Okay, so in closing, that was a fun project today. Doing those 2 screwdrivers. They do take a little bit longer to do. Obviously, you don't want to spend a ton of time on it because time is money, and you can buy a brand new one, but it is good practice. That's what we're here for. And next up, also, I had to change my flags out every 6 months or so. Maybe 8 months, I try and stretch it. I switch out my flags, my American flags, and when you put up the new one, it doesn't have, it takes about a month for them to break in and get that beautiful flow that, you know, you're used to seeing. And it's a little bit stiff, but check it out. I just put it up today, and it's a little chilly outside, so, but it's going to take a while to break in. Tell me what you think. Anyway, I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday. Take care now. Bye-bye.